So let's take it back. So you said 18 years in the industry, 13 years your business. What have you seen to be some of the biggest changes in your industry? And I know it's such a broad question. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I've just talked about one about the physical or the aesthetic side of things. Things have gone much more, I want to use the word grotesque, because it is grotesque, because if you knew what was behind it, it's not right. But I've seen the attitude change for the aesthetic. So whereas I used to get a lot more people that wanted to look good, don't get me wrong, most people who come to PTs want to look good, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But there was always this kind of thing of like, well, I want to live more for longer, I want to have better longevity, I want to feel healthier, I want to play with my kids, I want to play football with my kids, I want to do all these things. It's become now of like, I want to look like this person, I want to have this, I want to have these abs, I want to do, and it's like, come on, man, you know, right, let's just reverse it a little bit. So this kind of attitude of, it's less about function, it's more about the aesthetics, like fashion over function. And I think that's probably because we have social media now, and it's aesthetic led, isn't it? It's image led. Instagram is a great example. It's image led. So people want to look a certain way, so that can have all the benefits from looking like that, rather than actually thinking about, well, what's going to make me live longer? What's going to keep me out of being injured? All of these things are actually more important when you're older. But, you know, look, 20s and 30s, you don't really think about stuff like that because you can get away with it. So that on the aesthetic side, that's a massive thing that's changed. In terms of business, business in itself, as you well know, doesn't really change. The platforms that you do in any business are generally the same thing. But with regards to personal training, back in the day, commercial rates were cheaper. So it was much easier to get your own gym. Now it's almost impossible. You need investors now really to run it. You've also got the added factor of COVID being thrown into that too, because a lot of people went online. So a lot of personal trainers have now gone online because there's no overheads online, or limited overheads online. You know, you're not paying gym rents and stuff like that. So business-wise, people have moved more online, and I see that as actually detrimental to this industry, because it's taking away the one-to-one, the real, what I call the real one-to-one that you should have as a personal trainer. It's personal, it's not cookie-cutter approach, which is what a lot of people are doing. I know so many PTs that went online, and I only know maybe a couple that have done well out of it, because they're good PTs. The rest of them are jokers. The rest of them probably haven't really done that many hours on the gym floor, which is a bugbear of mine, because I love people and I love helping people, and that's the point of it, right? You want to help people. I get a buzz from helping people, seeing them go from one, you know, even just weekly, just, you know, getting progress every week. Now I know people will say, well, you can do that online, but it's not the same. So the industry's moved more into this kind of like new wave of personal training, which is online programs, monthly subscriptions, and all of these things. But it's not personal training. It's not. It's online coaching. You're essentially like a life coach to some degree. And if you know, and then they're telling you to go to YouTube to look at the exercise and stuff like that. It's not personal training at all. So I think that's a real negative part of the industry that's happened. But, you know, look, on the positive side, it's left for people like me and the people that are similar age to me who have been in the industry for so long that we're actually probably doing better, because people soon realise they don't get the results. I mean, I don't do any online training with any clients now. I get asked a lot for it, but I don't do it because I know that you're not going to get the results that you would if you came and saw me, being in my gym, using all of the equipment. So from a positive point of view, we're kind of like, how can I use an analogy? We're like the stones in the ground. We're still here. We're not going to move. We're reliable. You'll always come back. You might go to a different part of the world or whatever and see different things, but the stones are still there and they'll always be there. It's a bad analogy, but you know, there's always swings and roundabouts, isn't there? There's always good things and bad things, and as evolution goes, it depends where you are on that evolution line, really.
I guess it's staying in your lane for a season, isn't it? I know from training with you.
Yeah.
There's a technical element to what you do. I know any personal trainer that I've trained with over the years, 100% I know how to train now,
Yeah.
right? Started training when I was...
You should have done after I've trained you, Sarah.
20 to 23,
Yeah.
I might know technique. However, can guarantee you now, if I got in your gym, even after 12, 13 years of training, you would still correct me and be right. Because I have still fallen into habits of doing a certain action in a certain way where your glute's not firing there properly, or that's not doing that right there.
Yeah.
So you're so right about actually getting the result and the technical knowledge that you have. How can anyone ever get that from looking at a video, or if you've never even done that?
Exactly, yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, actually. It's like technical knowledge. You use that term, technical knowledge. You only ever learn technical knowledge by doing, or experiencing it yourself, right? I've injured myself no end. I mean, I talk about it in the book quite a lot. So for everyone out there who's got back issues, I know how it feels. But you learn from doing. And if you've not spent time on the gym floor, you're not going to learn all the issues that everyone comes with, and everybody's different. Again, goes back to, that's why it's one-to-one personal training. It's not group sessions and all of this silly stuff that we're now seeing. But also understanding people, that's a huge portion of this industry, is understanding how to talk to people, getting into their psychology of why they do what they do and what they need, and conversing. And this is another thing that again, will go back to the social media thing. People have lost the ability to talk to people and communicate with people, and understanding how to listen. People tend not to listen. PTs are the fucking worst for it, because they all think they know what they're talking about, and they all think they're right. And that is a big issue with our industry, which goes much, much, much deeper into why personal trainers become personal trainers, right? A lot of people become personal trainers because they're insecure. A lot of people do personal training because they've got results themselves and they enjoy it and they see the benefit, and then they think they can teach it to other people. But the reality is very, very, very different. I see it more with women than I do men. We have way more male personal trainers than we do female personal trainers. And I don't know of that many good female personal trainers, and I'm sure there are tons out there. I'm sure there would be, but I haven't met that many that are that good. And again, I talk about that too, and I think I figured out the reasons why. Because it's a lot harder for women in this industry. It's a lot harder, and they don't last for as long. So I'll give you a great example, okay? If you have a male personal trainer that's really big, looks like a rugby player, okay, and you had a woman that looked like a rugby player, who you know, and we're talking not like a beefcake bodybuilder size, but someone with a bit of chub on them, who are you going to trust more?
The guy.
The guy,
yeah.
Right? But why? Well, yeah, you tell me, go on, why?
I guess because, okay, the Western ideal of a female beauty is maybe not that. Therefore, for me, I wouldn't want to look like that.
Right.
So that would start to play on my mind of, if I trained with this person, am I going to end up like X?
Yeah.
Whereas the guy has somewhat bought into that archetype of what an attractive man would look like. So you're like, he knows what he's doing. This is all, and I've just psychoanalyzed myself in a very, that would just happen momentarily.
Yeah, so it's and yet you've not even considered that female could have had so much more experience, have the knowledge but it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. And that's where women have a real trouble in this industry. They cannot break through that aesthetic of well, if you don't look like how I want you to look like, I'm not training with you. Wow. And I've seen it time and time again, and it's fucking hard for these women to do. They're in competition with us for no reason really, other than a perception of themselves. And I've seen some really good girls. I mean, I've employed the really good girls leave because they get annoyed with it. They're sick of having that all the time, and it's really unfair. So we don't have a good filter of good people anymore, I don't think. But, look, I guess in any industry it's experience, isn't it? The best people that I know are the ones who've been in it the longest and have stick to their values and realise that, it's not one approach fits everyone. And we're just a bit more old school, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got that question of money on it as well, because the financial thing for personal trainers is huge. Everyone thinks, I'll become a personal trainer and I'll learn shitloads of money. Mm-hmm. Well, you can do. But man, it takes a long time. It takes a really long time. And then you've got the celebrities like Joe Wicks and all the Americans. I can't remember. There's In fact, I won't say it because he's in my book as well. But you know, they are like glamorizing making 6 figures, 7, 8 figures. You know, they are literal unicorns in this industry. But people think, well, if they go online, that they're going to do the same thing just by the way they look. It doesn't happen.
And it's sustainability. I think we were talking about this just before, weren't we? That in any business, no matter what someone is putting out on social media, you have good months and you have months that are maybe not so good. You have good seasons and not. Yeah. To have longevity in everything, it is not all one way. And I think that's the thing about social media, that's not really publicised.
Not at all, no, because no one wants to see failures, do they?
And is that a failure though? That's actually reality.